Hey, I also don't want to air any like TC dirty laundry, but speaking of the book club, I do feel like I have to say we had all made a decision on the thread that we were going to read another book. And so Seinfeld and I started the book. And then 24 hours later, you said, well, actually, Jake and I started reading this book. We don't have to get into it now.
I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but it did cross my mind as well.
No, I like this. This is a good arc for the show, is TC Book Club Civil War.
Yeah.
That also seems like a movie that could be marketed towards like retiring boomers, almost like an exotic Marigold Hotel type thing that's called Book Club Civil War. I have no idea what the plot is. It's just Book Club Civil War. But all right. Well, to be fair, okay. So the book that you guys started reading, we could talk about it.
You can't start it. It wasn't like we started reading it. We said on the thread that we were all going to start reading it together. That we started reading. We said, we're all going to order this.
Although,
I will
say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say that. Well, I'll just say that I abandoned the book as soon as like the book club went off course. I was on page like 60 or something, and I was like, oh. And I got busy, and I was like, well, we're not even doing this book anymore, so I got to pick it back up. But
I'm ready to read that book now.
How far did you get, Nick?
I'm like on page 100 because I had the similar thing to Seinfeld. When it was clear on the thread that like basically, and that this episode has really been the nail in the coffin. I mean, we're not reading a book.
It's fine. I mean, I was enjoying
how about
it.
this?
I was enjoying it too. But I do think it was like
maybe the TC Book Club, it's more about encouraging literacy and support for the publishing industry. So really, we're just gassing each other up to read books. I consider anybody who reads a book in the TC Book Club is just a club of people who read books. And every time you read a book and you can prove that you read it, I think all the other guys chip in and get you like a jumbo Butterfinger or something like that. We could be reading all different books, man.
So would a meeting of this book club then be everybody just talking about the individual book that they read? Like, I'm picturing this in a physical,
no, man.
Setting.
It's everybody just sitting around eating Butterfingers. It's more like
book club.
It's more like a party.
It's really the candy club.
Well, it's like yeah, it's more of a candy club. But it's like if you go to a graduation party with everybody who went to school together, you know, and you graduate from high school, you don't have to have everybody sit down and say, what was your favorite class? Like, no, we're here just to relax. We all accomplished something. We all did it in our own way. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people got good grades. Some people played sports. People chose different electives, whatever. Some people took AP chemistry. Other people took regular chemistry. But I'm saying once we're having the party, it's basically a group of people who all accomplished something in different ways, coming together just to revel in that sense of accomplishment. And that's what a book club is all about. The idea that you have to come and discuss the book, that seems really boring. It kind of seems like raining on the parade of just having finished a book. So I think this is more of I think especially when you consider that apparently the people read less books than ever. People spend so much time on the damn internet, they don't have time to read books anymore. So I think let's take it back to like first grade. Is like you and a bunch of adults just kind of gas each other up with stickers and candy to say, just, did you read a damn book? And if you did, you can come to the party.
I like how we've spent so much time just talking about like the book club, but we haven't even mentioned what the other book is. I don't even know if we should. Maybe it should just be a mystery.
No, you should.
We should. The book that we were going to read was Charlie Kaufman, the director's new book. That he wrote a novel that was published sort of, you know, about him quarantine. And we had all sort of been talking about the TC Highbrow Challenge and dipping back into some Kaufman movies. And then Seinfeld said, oh, hey, there's this.
He wrote a novel
book.
out.
And Ezra, you followed up saying, great, we should all read that for the TC Book Club. And I said, oh, yeah, I got it in the mail. That sounds perfect. And Jake said, I'm in.
Did I?
Yes. And then the next day, you said, I'm reading Chaos. And Ezra said, great, I'll get it right now.
No, because
no,
I didn't.
That's not how it happened.
No, that's not how it happened. That's
okay.
a gross distortion. We need to get
All right.
Tom O'Neill. Tom
Can I-
O'Neill's next book needs to be investigating the TC Book Club.
I had already received and ordered Chaos from Skylight Books.
Supporting an LA independent
Yeah,
bookstore.
and
Hell
I
yeah.
got it. Exactly. I ordered the paperback from Skylight. I got it in the mail the same week that we were texting about reading the Charlie Kaufman novel. This is like bad Stern when they get into like inter-office politics. And then Gary said, okay. And then so I started reading Chaos because I was there. And then I posted, this is getting so dark office politics. I posted on Instagram, okay, dude, a picture of me reading Chaos. And I was like, has anyone read this? And like, a few TC heads responded that they had. And then Ezra hit me up. Maybe I'm wrong. I think this is right. Ezra hit me up in DM, was like, oh, I just ordered that.
That sounds right.
No mention of Charlie Kaufman book. No mention of dissing the TC book club. It was just it organically happened, man.
I also just want to point out, wasn't Ezra the one who first brought to our attention that Charlie Kaufman had written a novel? I feel like that actually wasn't me. I could be wrong.
I think it's possible. The timeline is a mess. There's obvious inconsistencies and omissions. We really need to get to the bottom of this. Also, at some point, I told you guys that I was reading Dark Star, an oral biography of Jerry Garcia.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't start Chaos immediately. So I ripped through Dark Star, then I read Chaos, and now I'm going to read the Charlie Kaufman book. So, you guys are going to owe me three Butterfingers pretty soon. So
I'm looking back at the thread, and it says, you sent a picture to the thread, Jake. Reading out back. Say, my current vibe. Picture of Chaos.
Okay.
Ezra goes, just bought that too. You say, it's a very fun read. First 100 pages flew by.
Uh-huh.
mm-hmm.
And then Seinfeld chimes in, I'm 46 pages into this Kaufman book. And then he goes, book club versus book club. And then,
Oh, wow, you're right.
and then Ezra tries to make everyone feel better. He goes, I bought the Kaufman book too. Gonna try to read both.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, and then also got Dark Star.
Wait, Nick, can you go back, though?
This is
Just-
actually
yes.
great. I mean,
Can you take it back to who first identified the Kaufman book, just for my own sanity?
God, I have the worst memory.
Jake, you didn't even remember that clones walk among us, man. Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, man.
So Matt just sent me a screen cap where Ezra introduces, this is Ezra starting the conversation. Charlie Kaufman
What's
has
the date here?
The date is August 1st, 2:04 p.m. Ezra, Charlie Kaufman has a new book out, right? Curious about it. Me. Yeah, I just started it because I had ordered it. Enjoying it a lot so far. Seinfeld. I didn't know about it. Looks great. Now this is where it gets
There you go.
interesting. This is where it gets interesting. Jake. Maybe this could be a legit first TC book club entry. So the idea of even all of us reading it came from you.
God, I'm getting I look like an ass here.
Well, I also want to point out, though, that this whole conversation, you said it was August 1st,
Yes.
Ooh.
Jerry Garcia's birthday.
It's also National Mustard Day.
It's also... Jake and I are both big fans of mustard beer.
Yeah.
So I think it's very possible that for me, we had this conversation. I was thinking about, yeah, I want to read this Charlie Kaufman book, but maybe it hadn't dawned on me yet that we were about to enter the days between August 1st through August 9th. And so I think probably I didn't realize because it was just, day one of the days between. I bet the next couple of days there was just something in the air. And I was like, you know what? I want to read, because people have been telling me about this oral biography, Dark Star, for a long time, which I also think is great. So I think I wanted to read that. And by the way, I also want to draw another connection. This is pretty freaky, but check this. There are two very significant events. I'm sure you could add others that are in a way the true end of the hippie era. And they're decades apart. One is, of course, the Manson murders. That happened in 1969. And, Joan Didion famously said something like, that was the end of the 60s. It freaked people out in LA. And I've talked to people who lived through that era in LA. It literally is just like, man, we used to be, everybody's partying together and hanging out, and it really felt like we were entering the age of Aquarius. Doors were unlocked, all this. The chill it sent over the Los Angeles area and the whole nation was serious. And of course, when you read Chaos, you'll think about that a lot.
Although he does dispel that a little bit.
He dispels it a little bit, but it definitely, there's a lot of information just to say that it freaked people out.
Yeah, for sure.
And much later, I would say the death of Jerry Garcia was also, in 1995, was also something that truly felt like the end of an era. And I think the death of Jerry Garcia, even though I was only 11 then, I think the reason that his death, more than, obviously there were the deaths of Hendrix and Janis Joplin, all these people in the 60s, Jim Morrison in the early 70s. But part of the reason that his death was so meaningful to people is because the Grateful Dead had kept a type of hippie universe alive long after the 60s, long after taking acid and being a hippie had ceased to be fashionable. The Grateful Dead were this last bastion of it, keeping that ember alive. So there was something really sad and meaningful to people, I think, when Jerry died. It wasn't just the tragedy of his death, which of course is sad, but he represented something. Anyway, that's all to say. These two events that were 26 years apart, both August 9th. There's something about, maybe just because I happened to be reading those books back to back, and I was just like, man,
Whoa.
That's freaky that they both were August 9th. And increasingly, obviously this year, the whole year's crazy, but I was like, August is a fascinating month. You know, in some ways it's a very chill month. You relax. It's the dog days of summer. If you're a kid, you're not in school. So maybe you take it easy. If you live somewhere where it's really hot, the heat's so oppressive, all you can do is just hang out. You know, in some ways it could be a very placid, chill month, but it's also, there's a lot of like heavy energy. So I think that there was something cool. The Dark Star and Chaos was a good combo. But now I am going to move into the Charlie Kaufman book. And I hope that there's also some parallels in that book, because that's a real interesting trifecta. Who's going to join me in the trifecta? That's what I want to know. This is the real book club. All 3 books.
Damn, well, I have Dark Star. I haven't cracked it yet. I have to pick up the Kaufman. You're way
You never even ordered the Kaufman book?
No.